Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders that took place on the 13th of November 2022. May the four victims rest in peace, condolence to the families, and may the correct justice be served. This news clip is from a year ago. I love going back to the case from the beginning because I believe most of the clues lie always in the beginning of the case. A great example for me to give is when the police, Chief Fry said in the police conference that the students were not gagged. You had the captain, Linnea, say the same thing too. And we've had some students, like the boy, the young student who was on his way to work, who heard from friends and from social media before 10 a.m. that the students were gagged. He heard of an overdose and such things. To start with, this is for entertainment purpose only. These are the things that were speculation and rumors that were going on in the beginning. But then I believe you always have to ask yourself, where did that come from? And how come so many students were talking about it? This wasn't something that was made up in social media, that the students were gagged. So that has always stayed in my mind. Now this that I'm going to talk about, this piece, I believe is really important. I found it strange that we've watched so many true crime cases, but to see a quadruple murder, which is almost the same like a mass murder. You have so many deceased people in one place that I find it really strange that Chief Fry decided to give some of the victims' items back to the family. This was quite early on the case. This is exactly on the 7th of December, 2022. That is like 3 weeks after the quadruples that they gave out these evidence. Who ends up giving out things that, everything in a crime scene, in a house? I'm not a law and enforcement person. I haven't studied law. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, so I have nothing to do with law. But we've heard so much about, and we've researched so much about law, and especially, not even law, how police and the forensics team work in crime scenes. Nothing is supposed to be touched till the chief comes, or the sheriff, or the captain, whoever's in charge. You never see a crime scene things being given away. Because this was a quadruple murder. Brian Kohlberger is not guilty until proven guilty by the court of laws. So until the trial starts, we wouldn't know exactly what evidence they have, but they had over 100 pieces of evidence. I remember it was 132. And even the news media and experts found it to be too little compared to what you expect in a mass murder. Now you have 4 students, unfortunately, that are found deceased. It was a bloody crime scene. So how could they be giving away stuff? I personally would have thought that they would have even kept their roommates' stuff. Everything in the house should have been left as a crime scene. I just saw that too many people were going in and out without masks, without gloves, without the important things. They're supposed to have the equipment on, the forensic equipment. That started happening late on in the case. So you have 100 pieces of evidence. We don't know even what was in the house that the suspect or the suspects took. Don't forget their 2 surviving roommates. Allegedly, they came back at 1 a.m., according to them. Let's not forget. So if they came home at 1 a.m., the question is, where was Dylan? Was she at a party? Was she at a nightclub? Was she at a wine bar? Was she at a home party, house party? Where was she? Was she sleeping? Was her boyfriend, Dylan's boyfriend, Quinn, there? Where was BF? Where was Bethany Funk? What did she see? Did she see something from her window? Is that the exculpatory evidence that she has? Was Jack D sleeping that night? And where was Murphy that night? Kaylee and Maddie, may they rest in peace, called the same driver, Eric, the private Uber shared driver. They called him around 10:20 at night, 10:15. He drove them from 1122 Kings Road to the Corner Club. So they were at the Corner Club from 10:20 or 10:15 right up to 1:30. They walked out. They were walking 10 minutes or less so. That's when you see them talking about what was said to Adam. Kaylee was asking Maddie, what did he tell Adam? We see that white pickup, strangely enough, passing by. And I've seen that white pickup in front of Jack's house too. Jack had a white Hyundai, apparently that he sold the first week, allegedly. That was the rumors going around in the beginning, but he did have a white Hyundai. That was around 2013 model. And he lives 1 minute away from Caney. I wonder why the mayor said it was a crime of passion. What was the relationship between Kaylee and Maddie? The family would know best, but then it's only Kaylee and Jack who would have known it best. And maybe Maddie. And probably Xana too. I don't believe Jack was directly involved, but I believe he knew what was going on. I believe the whole bunch of them, all the friends, both the Jacks, Jack Showalter was more involved than we actually believe. These fraternity boys and frat boys know everything. Kaylee looks so happy there. May she rest in peace. I think that is part of the reason I have a hard time moving on to another case. When I was on Nicola Bully's case for 6 months, I was doing Summerway's case before that for a year. I keep on sticking to one case because it's like you feel like you don't have a closure there. And I don't like to bounce usually between one case to another unless the case is short, because I don't mask a case has taken a lot of time, effort, motivation, my holiday times even. But I don't regret for it, not for a second. Because these 4 students, everyone deserves the correct justice. But something is not right in this case. I've never seen a case like that in any country, any part of the world. You can automatically see that something is not right. It couldn't be just a coincidence that everyone was acting strange that night. Kaylee and Maddie were being themselves. But something had already happened to Zano. I believe, per se. Something happened in the Sigma Chi Fraternity party. That's what I believe. Since there was a fight there and the police were called there, we don't know why the police were called there. And then you have this 4chan that seems to tell us things that make actually sense. And this was put out by an anonymous person. I remember some people saying it was Hunter Chapin who put it, and some people were speculating and guessing, although I don't believe it was true. But somebody wanted to snitch on the frats and tell the truth. And I wish the person tried, the anonymous person tried to point out people like David Lott and David B.
Frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up.
Yes.
And had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in
Tiny,
the bed.
tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position up in
the 4chan post says that the Sigma has made the social private and removed all info from Facebook going back a few years. They believe Eaton and Zano were the main targets stemming from an argument that night. And that is what I'm saying. It was the Sigma Chi fraternity boys who had beef with the couple. See, if you continue reading, it says downstairs survivors could hear Downstairs survivors could hear 2 males rummaging through the room above them. Figured it was an after party, locked the doors and went to bed. When they discovered them in the morning, about 30 minutes before the 911 call, they called their friends at Sigma to come over, who in turn called the police. It's right across the street. For whatever reason, they believed it was people from the Sigma upstairs around 2:15 that night. So Dylan and Bethany thought it was the boys from the Sigma Chi Fraternity. They locked their rooms. I believe that's when they were texting each other. I wonder if anyone in the Sigma Fraternity has a Hyundai, a silver color car, or one of the fraternity boys. If you continue reading, you can see the back door was left open. One dead in bed, the other blocking the room door with their body. Wow. So this seems like, although it's anonymous, it seems like, for me, I think my first motive, my first Person who has motive, I would see, is these people in the Sigma Chi. I know it's anonymous, but the person detailed it in 3 pages. He explained it well, and it makes sense. He said they had 3 motives: the couple and Maddie. They said Jack, Rogan Jack, they meant Jake, was in on it. And I hate to say the word, but TITTIES was in the wrong place at the wrong time in Madison's bed. I always believed that it's somebody who knew this house well, who knew Maddie's room, who knew Kaylee's room, who knew the dog, who knew Dylan, who knew Bethany Funk. Even if BK was sitting outside and behaving like a peeping Tom, he wouldn't have known exactly who's in each and every room. He would have known that Dylan is in the first room, first floor, or the second floor. So it's hard to believe, but it's not impossible. I have never ruled out BK. I've never said BK is innocent. This whole case baffles me because I don't believe BK did it alone, if he did it. The way the fraternity boys were behaving that night, everyone has their own way of analyzing things. Maybe sometimes we overanalyze and sometimes we underanalyze. Things that we take too easy become an issue later and it explodes. If it was Brian Koberger who did it as a mental health counselor, I always wonder, how come so many schools, colleges miss the warning signs? Teachers should have recognized it. I know it's not their business, but in schools, it is teachers' duties to inform the school counselor. So I would love to have known, we all would have loved to know Brian Christopher Koberger's medical history. Because I personally believe that there is something with Brian Christopher Koberger. And I won't be surprised if he was under therapy. Bro, you can see the Kings Road house from David's Essex room. Once the 3rd floor light turned off, they did it. 19 minutes total, walk included. Was it the 4 figures we saw running? Talked about the shit at Bishop, Kelly and Sigma Chi, I guess Essex, Lodge and E got into a fight that night. X allegedly talking shit. David Lodge had problems with Mads also. So that makes it 3 motives. 3 targets, with 3 different motives. They had a motive for the couple and a motive for Mads. May they rest in peace. Kaylee was clearly at the wrong place at the wrong time. And just like her family said, her parents said, she couldn't get out of the bed. The headboard, she was stuck between the wall and the headboard. So she couldn't have got out, poor her. That's the reason I believe what was said that the girls heard, the surviving roommates heard, were emerging upstairs. People were running. And let's not forget, Kaylee's father said in the beginning of this case, he said in an interview, there was they put up a hell of a fight. Let's not forget, Xana had defensive wounds. And that house is like an echo. You hear everything. The floor is made of wood and it's creaky. So they would have heard Xana and E putting up a fight. And let's not forget, the affidavit says that Xana ordered food. So Xana was awake. Kaylee put up a fight too, or tried to defend herself. So there was a lot of rummaging and a lot of noise going upstairs. The two Davids upstairs had clearly beef with E and Xana and Maddie. And let's not forget, Kaylee wasn't supposed to be there that weekend. But they did actually see Kaylee in the grub truck. But if it was them, because we saw the 4 figures running, if it was them allegedly, it would make sense, because they would assume, or when they saw Kaylee, they were surprised, but they thought Kaylee would be sleeping in her room. And I really believe Kaylee was sleeping in her room. She heard Maddie yelling. And when she came, she must have been thrown on the bed. Trigger warning. So I really believe there are motives here. They clearly said it. The anonymous person was from the fraternities. Obviously, they're not saying who. And the Sigma Chi fraternity boys were under the microscope and under investigation. This makes total sense. And they wanted Xana. One of them wanted Xana. Was it David L? So it is a crime of passion. There's rage. There's anger. He's on steroids, allegedly. There's a fight at the Sigma Chi fraternity party that night. We have that boy ending up dead in the creek. What was his name? Hudson. And that was in April 2022. And it was after a party in Sigma Chi, or one of the fraternities. So I don't know what is really happening, but it's the Greek lifestyle. I think there are many people into this plot. I hate to say it. Why were they under investigation is a question.